what is all the fuss over the New York presidential primary right now? This week, a federal judge reversed a move by the New York State Board of Elections to cancel the Excelsior State's presidential primary, which coincides with the down-ballot primaries. Now, prior to this year, primary dates for different offices fell at different times of the year. April for presidential, June for federal, congressional, and September for state races. But now that the New York Senate is truly Democratic, the primary dates are consolidated to one date at the end of June. For this to happen, it took a movement coalition to defeat Governor Andrew Cuomo's IDC, the Independent Democratic Conference, the 8 Senate Democrats literally caucusing with the Republicans, preventing the Senate from having a true majority and thus holding up progress and electoral reforms. Now, even though New York is a Democratic state, the Democratic Party's love language is Tammany Hall machine politics. With the second lowest turnout in the country, just above Republican Louisiana, New York lawmakers may have resisted these electoral reforms as it meant it protected their power. The more restrictive the voting laws, the more protected an incumbent. So this presidential primary fight is layered, and it's about a few things. Number 1, democracy, and voters being able to exercise their rights. Number 2, delegates to the Democratic Convention. Number 3, keeping hard-fought oversight and electoral reforms. And number 4, Andrew Yang's political career. So politics makes strange bedfellows. So I'll start with Andrew Yang's intentions here in leading and partnering with the Bernie campaign with the appeals lawsuit against the New York State Board of Elections' decision to cancel the primary. So Andrew Yang is nowhere near earning enough delegates to win any power at the DNC. So this seems to be a political move to keep his name in the press, keep growing his email list, and earn some love from the Bernie left, especially after he endorsed Biden. There have been rumors that he's running for New York City mayor, which is next year. Even Bloomberg himself pushed that out. And given the candidates that are currently running for mayor in New York, there's actually a real opportunity for a progressive national name to swoop in and create their own lane and clear political faction. If Biden is likely to win New York by a large margin and is the presumptive nominee, then why on earth is the establishment pushing back so hard? Biden, he's going to get his delegates. So why are they still kicking the movement down? Is it ego? Maybe. Is it to flex power? Maybe. Well, it's my duty to remind you regularly on our PSA that Andrew Cuomo's ability is that he controls all mechanisms of the party and much of the state. The Board of Elections was able to cancel the primary based on a loophole in this year's passed budget written and designed by Governor Cuomo, a budget that was passed swiftly in the shadows because of the COVID crisis. Now, this budget process was how Cuomo best used his IDC when it still existed in blocking progress and reforms. So the Board of Elections cancels the primary because of the budget loophole. And as a result, in one move, Andrew Cuomo not only hurts all down-ballot progressive grassroots challengers who depended on progressive voters turning out to vote for Bernie, but he also blocked New York delegates from winning spots to the national convention, which is scheduled for August. Now, the down-ballot progressive challengers are facing an uphill battle without the ability to knock on doors right now during COVID. They most likely don't have the name ID. They can't send out community relations government mail as they're not in office. And they probably can't afford to buy television ads or spend millions of dollars getting their message out in the media. So it is an uphill battle already for these candidates. Yet, these are unpredictable times, and the establishment does not want to show that they have any weakness, especially right now. That is machine politics at its finest. Now, as for the convention, as someone who has been a delegate, served on the Platform Committee and the Unity Reform Commission, I have admittedly thought to myself, what is the point of a convention right now when we know who's probably going to be the nominee? The platform is meaningless if the Democrats don't live by it. So why do we go through all this fuss? Why get on the ballot, run for delegate? Why organize people to vote? Why fundraise to go to the convention and share hotel rooms and then get into a room and debate these horrible people? What is all the fuss? Well, it turns out that the reforms we did pass on the Unity Reform Commission It expires at this convention. And the more delegates that Bernie has, the bigger the fight at the convention to keep the reforms. I know, I've read the comments. It doesn't feel like there were any reforms, but we wouldn't have had Bernie in this position as a finalist if these reforms did not happen. And trust me, they came with a brutal fight, and they should have gone way further. But all of that progress, the progress of building a coalition of reformers in the party who didn't support Bernie but wanted the reforms, who've been fighting them for years, the progress of having open primaries and more transparent caucuses and more inclusive party, that will all be reversed. And the New York delegation, it's huge. The New York delegation got Perez elected. And the machine, they don't want that reform, especially with so many New York DNC members working with Biden right now and Cuomo. So this is what it's all about. It's about sticking it to the DNC. And for the establishment, it's about reversing all the reforms to stick it to us, the movement. It's about Cuomo controlling the party, likely to set the stage for his run in 2024. God help us. There are supposed to be 1.5 million applications sent first, 3 million ballots eventually sent. 20,000 military ballots have already been sent out, and people are just confused. Is this primary happening? Does it even matter? Folks are sick, tired, worried, fed up, exhausted. There's no progressive coalition really fighting this, as the WFP, which is based in New York, is its own party, and they want to keep people voting on their line. It's a mess. If people write in Bernie, does he get delegates? Will the convention even happen? It's still scheduled in person, but that's looking extremely irresponsible. So what is the lesson here? My biggest takeaway from covering and being involved with the DNC is that they maintain their power when they operate in darkness and drag out debates through confusing process and endless committee meetings. The press doesn't understand the DNC rules and the committees. The DNC members don't understand them. But you know who does? The consultants who run the show. The consultants who work with the military-industrial complex, oil and fracking companies, pharmaceutical companies, health insurance companies, union-busting companies, charter schools, the private prison industry, and Republicans too. It's not easy to follow process, but the primary cancellation is a clear example as to why we always need to have our eyes open. They control the marketplace by controlling the rules of power. At this point, at this very point, we have no choice but to fight back.